The Rebel Capitalist Show.
What do you think about what's going on with Bitcoin? And my angle there is long term. I'm bullish. I've said for a long time that I think the price could easily go to 100,000, and this was back when it was $4,000 or $5,000. I own Bitcoin, but my concern over the last, call it, month or so is that there's all that emotion that we were talking about with GameStop. I see that in Bitcoin online as well, and I would never sell for that reason, but I'm hesitant to buy more whenever I see everyone on one side of the boat, so to speak. And I understand the general public doesn't have a clue what Bitcoin is and they don't own it, but I'm talking about just in the comments of my videos and more specifically on FinTwit. You just, and on CNBC, I mean, it's just nonstop talking about Bitcoin. Every single time you see a commercial, it's for Grayscale or Bitcoin. And I'm like, you don't see any commercials on CNBC for coal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely one to put a cautious flag onto as far as buying any significant amount of it. I cost price average on Bitcoin. I buy $50 a week.
Okay.
Essentially, sometimes I buy a little bit more of a typical, like if Litecoin was to drop, I like buying Litecoin. Like I like Charlie Lee. I like listening to him and the things that he has.
Interesting. Why do you like that one? Because I kind of usually single out Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then I put the rest into a different category that we were talking about before that just to me seemed just wildly speculative, kind of like the .com mania. But maybe I'm wrong there because I haven't researched anything other than Ethereum and Bitcoin. So why do you like that one?
Well, I think if you're getting into cryptocurrency, it's wildly speculative no matter what you do. So
right.
But why Litecoin? There's a couple of them that I have focused in on. Litecoin is one. When I started doing research and I was listening to all these different people talking about cryptocurrencies and stuff, and I came across Charlie Lee, and I was listening to Charlie Lee talk about Litecoin and cryptocurrencies in general. And, when I heard him say, before you buy Litecoin, you should really try and get a hold of a Bitcoin, right? So he wasn't even pumping his own coin. And then everybody gave him so much hell when, Litecoin ran up to $400 or whatever, and he sold off all his Litecoin. They said, he did like a pump and dump kind of thing. And I'm thinking, well, no, it was just a ride like everybody else. He might have been talking about his coin or whatever, but when it gets to $400 and you can cash out for $1 billion or however hundreds of millions of dollars he did, it would be pretty stupid not to do that. I did not blame him one little bit. And a lot of people did. And that's why they don't like him very much for it. And I was just like, well, that's not bad. That was a smart move. Don't blame him for that. And then I started listening to the interviews that he was doing and stuff. And I just really liked his personality. I liked his understanding of cryptos. And it just, and it led me to believe that he truly wants to see cryptos become something that's a widely used mainstream thing.
Right.
I don't see him trying to make a bunch of money off of this because he's already done that. It's all the money in the world is already in his pocket. He doesn't need to do this anymore, but yet he tries very hard. So I give him credit for that. And that's why I like standing behind Litecoin, because I feel that he is going to be pushing the projects that are really going to go out there and become part of the daily commerce. And I can only assume that if he is in the middle of that, then his coin would be too.
Yeah, right.
So Litecoin. The other thing is that it's really cheap to use it. If I buy computer services every once in a while, with Bitcoin, if you were to transfer Bitcoin, you have to pay a kind of a decent fee to it. Litecoin has almost no fee. It's really super cheap. So that has a nice feature to it. But that's why I like Litecoin. I buy Bitcoin just because I feel that it's going to be the digital gold, and all the rest of them are a lesser of the true digital gold of Bitcoin. But then I also bought into something called Uniswap. And the only reason why I bought Uniswap is because one of the guys that I work with, He's an 80-year-old man, knows nothing about cryptocurrencies, absolutely nothing, has no clue, doesn't understand anything. Came to me one day and he says, "Hey, have you ever heard of Uniswap?" And I'm like, "Well, I seen it in the deals there, but no, I don't know anything about it." He says, "Well, I have some." And I'm like, "How? How did you?" Like, I'm thinking, "No, you didn't." He says, "No, we did. We have this internet service that my neighbor has hooked me up with." And he says the way that we do this payment system is using these cryptocurrencies. He says, "I don't know anything about it, but I got this Ethereum wallet and I got an airdrop of Uniswap and it's worth thousands of dollars." And I went, "Holy moly, Brian, right on." And he said, "So I sold half of it." And I was like, "A real world case of cryptocurrencies. Interesting." Okay, so I went out and bought some, right? Just because I saw the real world experience take place right there and I wasn't looking for it, it showed up. And I was like, "Okay, interesting." So I went and bought $100 of that like 3 months ago just so I would have some. It's like 650 today. It's just like, holy moly, that stuff moves.
Yeah.
So kind of how I pick my cryptocurrencies. Like, there is a million coins out there that one could buy. And I couldn't tell you which one's going to end up being Amazon, or if any of these things are going to make it, or if they all just turn to zero. I couldn't tell you any of that stuff. But when I see real world experience taking place and something that nobody has any clue or even heard of yet, oh yeah, you're in the early game. That's the early game.
Yeah, that's it. So it's almost like you're angel investing in the specific cryptocurrency. How do you manage your portfolio as far as the overall construction? Meaning, what percentage do you allocate to these cryptocurrencies, whether it's Litecoin? I mean, I would assume that you've got some rules in place to where you're not like, "Oh my gosh, I love this new cryptocurrency. I'm going to go and take 90% of my net worth. I'm going to sell all my silver, sell all my Bitcoin, sell my gold to go into a Litecoin," or whatever it is. I would assume there's some rules there, just like we were saying at the beginning, for the average Joe, that they might be able to set up to where you are not emotional about it. You never want to be emotionally selling something because you're losing sleep. It's going down in price. You're checking the price every single 2 seconds on your phone. That's almost, as Jim Rogers says, that's a quick way to the poorhouse. So how do you personally set up your portfolio to make sure that you're not getting emotional?
I'm a saver. I'm a one-way street. It goes one way. I don't sell. So, if it goes down, that was a bad choice. But
How do you set up percentages though, right?
Well,
like do you just say, "Okay, I'm only going to do 10% of my portfolio for the speculative assets," or is there a rationale?
okay. So there is a rationale. It, I have a sporadic, but then I also have like, okay, so here's a set amount that I'm definitely going to do in this one particular direction. This much is going to go to stocks, and I have like a very small, it's like 30% goes to stocks.
Okay.
And then the rest of it, generally I'll try and do like either a silver purchase or a crypto purchase or saving cash. So right now, because I look towards things that are unloved, unappreciated, and undesired. And when the dollar was getting so much abuse, when they were saying this is a trash item, it's going to be inflation, there's going to be no point to it, do not hold your cash. I like that. That's what I want to be cash. Okay. Yeah. So when everybody says they hate it, I love it. That's when so lately I've been trying to stack cash, but I'm anticipating that the cash is going to start moving up in price, meaning that the silver and cryptos are probably going to come down, like there'll be buying opportunities in there. So instead of stacking cash that day, I'll be going into silver. You see, so I don't have like a definite rule, but I do on some of it. So like I do the $50 a week in Bitcoin, and I do $50 a week towards that stock portfolio. And then that's like my set thing. And then the rest of it is kind of like the speculative thing. Like, where do I go? Do I hold the cash, or do I buy silver, or do I buy Bitcoin, more Bitcoin with it, or Litecoin, or the Uniswap, or whatever it is that I'm going to be interested in that day? That's kind of how I done it. I'm really naive when it comes to this stuff. I really don't know what I'm doing.
I think that's the way to do it. You just keep it simple. Just keep it simple.
ultimately I was trying to save because I wanted to buy some real estate, and I thought real estate was going to come down, but now it's just like I don't even want to look at it because it's so expensive. It's expensive, so it's just like, I would like to think that, man, I'm saving up to buy this beautiful farm that I'll have chickens and goats and stuff. And I'm like, but I'm not going to pay no $500,000 to do it, And so
Right.
I don't really even have any motivation on where I'm going with things. I just, I'm just trying to build those things up for the next opportunity that may come. And I'd really like to see it happen in real estate, but I just don't see it happening as long as the interest rates stay low. And but it's only a matter of time. I mean, we can break it down. I don't know how much time you got, but like when we start getting into like the moratoriums that are out there, the interest rates, I mean, I have a feeling that we are going to start seeing interest rates rise. Like we're already starting to see it. Like the 10-year and longer maturity is going up and the shorter end is dropping. And that's like that widening of the steepening of the yield curve that's taking place right. I can only assume that at some point there, those interest rates are going to start dragging up the interest rates of loans out there as well. Now, the Federal Reserve, as long as they're buying those mortgage-backed securities, can keep the interest rates on mortgages low, but it's falsified. And at some point, when those moratoriums end and there starts come foreclosures hitting the market, they're not going to just want to be willy-nilly and handing those things out to people just so they can all start again. They might, but I have a feeling that the investors out there are probably going to want a little bit more interest for their mortgage-backed securities, to buy them.